Hi, this is Katrina. Welcome to my studio and to my channel. Today, I want to talk about beginner artists. What do you consider a beginner? Where do you start as a beginner? And how do you actually choose? Beginner's such a vague topic. When I was starting my art journey, I'd come across a lot of YouTube videos, tutorials that were aimed at beginners. But when I started, I wasn't anywhere close to that level. So what is a beginner? I want to share with you some of my early journals, art journals and sketchbooks to show you what my journey as a beginner was like. This might resonate with you and actually help you choose where you are on your journey and what beginner means to you. So I started really taking art more seriously in about 2018. So I've had a couple of years of working up to it. And I dabbled around with some pencils and some other things to get started. But I watched a fabulous little, I think it was a Skillshare class, and it was about developing an artistic habit. This actually was really quite transformational for me. The concept that, you weren't just an artist, that it was something that you could develop and enhance and improve at. And one of the core concepts behind this was to develop the habit of creating in a regular part of your day. So I made a commitment to myself to make every day. I wasn't trying to create masterpieces. I wasn't worried about final results. All I was doing was setting aside time and place to make. And to do this, all I did was bought a fairly cheap little journal that you can buy at a supermarket. And the idea was you picked up whatever it was that you had and you drew, sketched, make. So in this journey, I started this journey at the beginning of September in 2018. And, I had marker pens, I had brush pens, and I just made marks. As you can see, I enjoyed drawing flowers, I enjoyed colours, I made leaf shapes. I really, I wanted to be better than I was, but I was trying to focus less on the outcome and a bit more on a mindful process and exploring what I was enjoying and developing a habit to stick with. So, some of these little illustrations I think are fun. They were good to do. And you can see there are some days where it wasn't much more than just drawing spirals, lines or squares. But it was practice. It was getting me used to actually putting something on paper. And, all sorts of things, circles, lines, literally draw straight lines, practice drawing straight lines, leaf shapes, getting a feel for how you manipulate different things. So at the end of it, I actually did. I made marks for over a month. And by that stage, it actually starts to become a habit. I made my art supplies accessible to me. I had a little pencil case and my sketchbook that would live on the lounge beside where I'd watch TV in the evenings, when I was home in the evenings and not working. So I didn't need to make extra space or go find anything. I could just start mark making. So that was quite a good beginning. But then, as we progress, we start to look at different products Now this was a little bit further on. This book I got the following year, so this is not the exact continuation, but it'll give you a little bit of an idea. This is a little journal by Pink Pig, and this is 100% cotton paper. It's one of the first times I had a cotton paper journal, and it was really a revelation for someone who's starting out with watercolours. And this is what I think of as a really good practice sketch water pad. I still was thinking, oh, if I've paid all the money for an expensive journal, I should have beautiful illustrations on every page. But I can't make a beautiful illustration if I don't know how to use a brush or make a stroke. So I have pages and pages of practicing lines, swatches, learning control, just trying to make shape language work. Yes, I did do illustrations and drawings, some more successfully than others. I took this when I travelled, so I took this with me when we went through the Northern Territory, Alice Springs, and out to Uluru and Catatuja. So, you know, I drew on the bus, sketched my memories of Kings Canyon, started to get an idea of urban sketching and the like. But you can see this journal ended up, I started to learn the importance of practice, but not just practice, but recording what I was doing, and started to learn about colour theory, colour mixing, starting to record the colours that I was using, how they interacted together, and the importance of keeping records like this that helped me understand the paints that I had, not just in, you know, an academic way, but actually start physically mixing them myself and learning how to control, you know, how much water, how much pigment, what am I doing, how do these mixes come across, and the importance of recording everything. So this, as you can see, lots of squiggly lines and all sorts of interesting things. And I think that it's important that we allow ourselves to have journals that are like that. So one of the others that I have, this was a little bit earlier. So this was still in 2018. And this was an extremely cheap paper. And in fact, it's almost like painting on blotting paper, even though it's watercolour. But, you know, followed some YouTube and Skillshare videos and enjoyed myself and had fun with a lot of concepts, but still had that idea in mind that I should be having an illustration on every page. But I got over it and I started exploring. So on this page, what I was looking at was I was using all of my drawing implements and seeing if they were actually permanent or water soluble and how that would work, and writing down what they were, starting to learn to document. I mean, I still had fun drawing and painting, but then starting to learn the importance of practicing techniques that I would have to practice. Why did I expect that I'd be able to put down a flat wash for a sky if I'd never practiced laying down a flat wash? And this starts you on your journey of understanding how learning about your equipment and how your equipment works in coordination with each other aspect of it is an important part of your journey. So shape language, learning particular strokes. You can see, you know, some pieces I still really like. I just love these little sparrows that I did. I think they're super cute. It's not high art, but gee, they were fun, and I think that they are so cute. But playing with different things, starting to understand the importance of how we work out what colours we're going to be using. Practicing even just basic drawing skills. So we can see we can actually make progress doing these things. And without being willing to actually put paint, pencil, pen, whatever it is on a surface and actually practice those techniques, see what happens to your, materials under different circumstances. That's the way you grow. And I sort of think, yes, I did actually. Sometimes it's nice to come through these books just to remind yourself of that journey, to say, yes, I have actually done the work. It's slow. It takes time. So here's another little cotton journal that I had, again, 2019. And this is a little journal by Caddy Papers. So these are handmade in India. And you can see they've got these beautiful handmade edges. So we can see I started this journal. I started to date my work so I could actually have a journey. So 2019. By this stage I knew I enjoyed pen and wash and exploring those things. Still trying different techniques of things, learning to do different washes, lots and lots of practice, and learning, because this is a cotton paper, learning how cotton paper responds to water and pigment and, moving things around. So, yes, a lot more paintings are starting to happen. I have actually developed some of those skills. So rather than just doing exercise after exercise, I can start actually creating illustrations. But having said that, I still try things out. I still experiment. Sometimes I'll do mini studies of something that I want to do bigger. When I started to get new products, I'd start to explore what could they do, test out when I got a new colour, what would it do, how would it respond. Exploring, painting and, all sorts of different things. So different subject matters. This is when I first got my M. Graham paints. So I was having a lot of fun exploring how, the different yellows and blues. Because I don't often buy green paint, I actually mix a lot of my green paints. So I was experimenting and seeing what each of my yellows did with each of the blues and how they would mix. So I had a bit of an idea about when I actually used them in an artwork, which one was I going to choose for which situation. Testing out concepts, structures, more washes. You can't practice washes enough for a watercolour artist, I believe. But just shape, trying to learn how to use negative shapes and create detail. And in fact, what with these little feather studies sort of things, scales or feathers, whatever you want to see them as, I've actually swatched out just a gradient at one point, then come back later and gone, I need to practice another technique. I've already got my flat wash, so I can go in with a shadow colour. It's already dry, ready for me to work on. So sometimes you can just go back and use this as good practice. It helps you practice glazing and layering. I've got lifting, and it's fun. And as you can see, worked on my clouds, and I love clouds. Playing with inks. And then more recently, this one is a Stillman and Burns sketchbook. Now this is probably a little bit closer to the illustrations on every page. I'd always get really anxious about starting a sketchbook. And in fact, if you notice on this very first one, I didn't really show it to you, but I don't actually have anything on the first 2 pages. I was terrified of making a mistake in my sketchbook, and the way I got over that was just don't start on the first page. So I didn't, which, as long as it got me drawing, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's finding what works for you. It got me using my sketchbook. So I did end up deciding, no, when I start a new sketchbook, I will consider doing a cover page, something to break the ice, get me going. And in this case, it was a quote by Pablo Picasso, which I quite enjoyed. Art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. And I think to me that is a good, that is how I perceive art within my life. So, this is a probably more traditional art book where it is mostly illustrations on each page of different styles, different subjects, a lot of pen and wash because I still love that medium, some done on site, some straight watercolours. I've taken this book travelling. Sometimes I take photos and then paint them in here from reference. Some are done on site. It depends, I don't restrict myself. I don't try to create barriers against me painting. So this was just to keep me creating more art. However, whatever it took. And even pieces when I wasn't happy. One good thing about a journal is you turn the page and you make another piece. It's okay. So, not everything has to be a superb work of art. It can just be for the fun of it. And all sorts of things. Now, the other thing that I did, everyone was drawing their drawing implements at one point. I had a go at that too. That was a really interesting challenge. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. But this is something that I do fairly consistently. In the back of nearly every sketchbook that I own now, particularly for doing watercolours, I swatch out my colours. Because I don't just buy one type of sketchbook. I have different sketchbooks from different manufacturers in different materials. So I want to see how the paints that I use are going to respond in different circumstances. So in nearly every instance, I will create a table like these in every sketchbook. And even in like basic mixed media journals like this one. So, this is just a 200 GSM mixed media. Not really, again, no cover page. It doesn't matter. If it means that I work in the journal by turning the page and starting the second page, that's okay. It gets me going. But you can see even in this book at the back, I have my different paints. And as I've gotten, I develop different ways of swatching. I learn different techniques. I try different things. I see what works for me. I've got my colour wheels and colour theory. This is all for me to understand my paints better and trying different mixes, trying different things. But to me, this is what a sketchbook is. This is all sorts of things. It's not necessarily pretty. And it also includes playing with my niece, helping her become an artist too. Nothing should be too precious. But practice those things that we don't feel comfortable drawing, testing out ideas, writing down things, This is like doing the scales on a piano when you're learning music or something. It's not very exciting to a great extent, but I'm learning things. And the other thing that I'm learning is the importance of making records. What's working? What did I do here? Particularly when I'm doing, exploring mixes. Starting to learn the importance of drawing thumbnails. Then I've even taken it to life drawing a few times and done some sketches with life drawing. Trying out all sorts of things. Stylizing. This is to me what a sketchbook should be. It's not pretty. It's not, these are not works of art. There are some pretty things in here. I'm proud of some of the work I've done in this. But as a whole, this is like, this is practice. This is how I get better. And I should never look at any of this and feel that it was wrong, or it shouldn't be, you shouldn't judge yourself on the quality of this work. You should be pleased that you've done the work, explored those skills, made time to practice and practice. But explore, enjoy the journey, and don't necessarily throw these things out. Keep them. Help remind yourself of where you've come from, and you can see the progress you've made. So I hope that was interesting in some way, having a little bit of an insight in how we all go through a beginning phase and what that might mean for us in different stages of our artistic journey. And I hope that you've enjoyed the journey so far that you've taken if you're a beginner artist. And I'd love to hear any tips or suggestions or things that you did to help you get started and get going. Share them with the other people in this channel. I'd love to see what you think. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, share this channel, and I'll chat to you later. Bye.